Hi guys, and welcome to Escape with Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the Pagani design PD1779 Dark Side of the Moon homage. I received this watch for free. I don't have to send the watch back, but you guys know the deal by now. It's not going to sway my review one way or the other. You're always going to get my honest opinion on this channel no matter what. And if by the end of this review you want to pick one of these up, as always, there is a link down in the video description. That is an affiliate link. It doesn't cost you any extra, but if you guys use that link, this channel will get a little bit of a kickback, and it helps keep the channel running, so I really do appreciate it if you use my links. The retail price for this watch is $82 US. That's before any taxes or sales or coupons or anything like that. There's always a sale right around the corner, so you can probably get this thing even cheaper. The watch comes in 3 different colorways. They're all this PVD black here, but instead of yellow on this one, you have blue and red. So I think they all look pretty cool. I'm not usually a fan of yellow, but I went for this one just because it's something a little bit different. The watch case is made of 316L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal, a screw-down crown, screw-down case back, 100 meters of claimed water resistance, and the watch is powered by the Seiko VK64 Mecha Quartz movement. So it's safe to say that the Pagani design PD1701 is their biggest success over the last year and a half or so. It has sold so well for them that there's no doubt in my mind that they were going to see a bunch of different colorways and combinations and different dials and all that stuff. So this doesn't carry the same 1701 number, but it's a very similar watch. There are some differences that we'll get into, so I say we get right into this review. But before we do a quick wrist check today. Wearing my Corjute Speedy. It's a speedy kind of day, wearing this on a leather NATO strap. I think this is still one of my favorite Speedmaster homages, just because the aluminum bezel insert, but this one definitely does look pretty nice too. All right, let's get into the dimensions. We got a case diameter of 42.2 millimeters, case thickness of 14.2 millimeters, 20 millimeter lug width, lug tip to lug tip of 47.8 millimeters, and on the supplied leather strap, weighs about 76 grams. So I think the size on this thing is pretty much unchanged from the PD1701. It's 42 on the case diameter, but this is kind of an asymmetrical case. You can see the case lines here follow the bezel pretty much right on the bat. This one here does protrude out a little bit, so it offers protection for these crowns here. So it's just like the Speedy Professional, same style of case. And yeah, I think overall it wears pretty good. It wears a little bit bigger than I would like. That's one of the reasons why I like this Corjute so much. The Pagani, I like the case better on this one. It just wears a little bit too big for me personally, but there's no doubt that you guys love this watch. It's sold so well, so yeah, very happy with the case on this thing. I like the case shape of it. I just wish it was just a little bit smaller, and I would like it a lot more. But yeah, I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on the wrist for you. So here we are on my 7.5 inch wrist, and as you can see, it still wears pretty good, even though it is quite large. You can see down the wrist shot there, it's a pretty flat case, like I said, but it's got a thin mid case there, so it does appear pretty thin on wrist. You can see the strap is really kind of pinching me there. The strap is not great. We'll talk about it in a little bit more detail later on, but yeah, I like the accents on it, but yeah, the strap itself is just not good. And here we are in some direct sunlight, and thankfully Pagani has listened. They put some AR coating on this thing. You can see it kind of has a blue tinge to it, but it's not an overly blue AR coating, and I actually think it does a pretty good job of keeping this watch legible. So kudos to Pagani for continuing to improve this line of watch. It really did need that extra AR coating. I think it does a pretty good job. So I think we are going to throw this on one different strap, and then we'll get back to this review. And here we are on a ribbed nylon strap. There's 2 layers underneath the watch there, and I think it still wears pretty nice. It's got that thin mid case there. This thing obviously is not going to look good on many straps, so just sticking to black. I really wish this had PVD hardware. That would be kind of cool looking, I think. But yeah, the yellow accent puts a kibosh on pretty much any color. So yeah, it's black for this one, or black and yellow, and I just don't have any other yellow accented straps. So this is it. All right, let's go back inside and let's get back to this review. So the case finishing on this one, it's going to be a little bit hard to show you guys just because it's a PVD case, but it's the same as the previous PD1701. So you have a angular brushing on the inside of these lugs here, as you can see there, and then you've got horizontal brushing on the case sides. And you got this nice big chamfer that goes from the lug tips, kind of swoops up and around all the way down to the other lug tip. It's really nicely done. Working our way to the crown side here, you can see again, nicely done. You do have a signed crown here, nice size crown as well. Simple pushers here, no design on those things, but nicely guarded by the case. You got that big chamfer again. It's all done pretty nice and neat. Again, hard to show off on this model, but yeah, it does look pretty good. So you have a ceramic bezel insert here, which looks pretty good. White numerals all the way around it. Everything looks pretty good, and everything looks like it's in a spot where it should be. I just wish that they would do an aluminum insert on this thing. I think the original of this model is actually ceramic, so it's not a huge deal, but on their just normal 1701, I would like to see aluminum. That's just me though. But it does look pretty good in my opinion. Flipping it to the case back here, case back is pretty much unchanged except for the PD1779 numbers there. It's kind of that rocket that's shooting off into space. You got some planets and you got the moon over here. Simple spec sheet around the outside and simple notches to get a tool in there. Circular brushing on the bottom of the lugs. Everything here nicely rounded off. It's a very comfortable watch. I've got no real complaints with it. Yeah, the case finishing on this thing, I would say it's on par with their previous version, and that's saying something. It's pretty good. All right, so let's talk about the crystal on this thing. First things first, we'll test it for sapphire, and it is positive for sapphire. So the crystal on this, the last 1701 I had was the version 3, I believe. I'm pretty sure it was a version 3, and the crystal on that one was okay. It wasn't as good as this crystal, I don't think. This one has plenty of blue anti-reflective coating. You can see here, it's kind of that top hat, but still double dome. So even at the steep angles here, you have plenty of clarity. No issues reading this thing really. But yeah, the crystal on this thing is improved. I'll say that they've definitely used a nicer crystal on this one. So I'm pretty happy with the crystal. It's obviously it's not perfect. You know, I still think the Corju's crystal is nicer. It's just a mineral crystal, so it's just less reflective in general. As you can see here side by side. You know, this is one of those models where I want to take a more clear crystal every time. That's just me though. I know some people won't sacrifice sapphire for more clarity, but I will. I'd even be okay with an acrylic crystal on this watch. So yeah, just something for Pagani to think about. I know they're not going to put an acrylic crystal on there, but yeah, this crystal, it's not bad, but they could definitely improve it. All right, let's zoom in. We'll get real close and talk about this dial because there's a lot going on here. So the main background of the dial has this really nice texture there. You can see it does have an applied Pagani shield there. And then it's got that Pagani design chronograph text there. It does get a little muddy, but it's really only under extreme macro like this that you even notice that. Otherwise, it looks perfectly fine. Around the outside, you do have a raised minute track. It's kind of on this, it's just on another level, as you can see there. Really nicely done though. I like how they kind of cut into the dial around those indices. It's really cool. And then when these indices sit above parts of the movement, you can see right there. I actually don't know if that's movement or if that's if that's just fake. I think it's fake. The silver back here, just like this silver down here, that is completely fake. That has nothing to do with the movement at all. You can actually see the movement right there though on that subdial. So this is a skeleton dial, and it's got a lot of cutouts going on. It's to mimic that dark side of the moon look, and I think it does okay. I wish they wouldn't have done this, or at least used a higher quality part. You know, make that actually out of metal so it has a shine to it like the movement does. I mean, I know why they did it, but I think they could have done without that, and it would have been just fine. You have your 24-hour subdial over here. You got your running seconds hand right here. Obviously, the chronograph second hand is running here. Nice bright yellow. You get these yellow markings around the outside of the dial. I think, you know, there's not too much yellow that it looks kind of cheap and corny, but just enough to give it a little bit of a pop. I do really like it. The handset, I believe, is unchanged as far as the shape and the size of it. Nice big pencil or fence post style handset. It's definitely not what I prefer. I prefer these nice skinny hands like this one. But again, it's really not that bad. They do kind of blend into the dial, but you know, there's most of the time I can read the time just fine. So it's not a huge deal to me. I do like that yellow second hand though. I think that looks pretty good, and it does reach right out to the minute track there. The lume on this watch is atrocious, so I'm going to pop up a lume shot here. You can see it against a couple other of the speedies in my collection, and yeah, it just doesn't do good. I'm obviously I was not expecting much from this watch. So yeah, and you shouldn't either. It's Pagani design bad, and it's a chronograph, so you don't really need lume like you do on a dive watch. So yeah, the lume is just not good on this watch. All right, so let's talk about the movement in this thing. So the movement is the Seiko VK64 Mega Quartz. It's about a 3-year battery life, plus or minus 20 seconds per month. As far as accuracy goes, they're great. I've got no issues with them. You can see here, you got a nice sweeping second hand there for the chronograph there, 5 ticks per second. Yeah, I got no real complaints with it. They're operated by these 3 crowns here. Really simple operation. This top button here starts and stops the chronograph. So you push that down, it stops it, and then you click this bottom here, and it will snap everything right back to 12 o'clock. Right, good alignment on this model as well. So pretty happy with that. You get nice solid feedback between these 2 pushers as well. So again, no real complaints. The crown here is a screw down crown, and again, no issues with that. It's nice and smooth. You get a nice pop out as well. This first position does nothing. The second position is a ghost date position, and I can hear it clicking around back there. You can actually see the date wheel. Didn't even notice that. Look right here. And you can kind of see it moving right here as well. That's kind of cool. I didn't know that. And then it's an actual black date wheel. Interesting. So yeah, that's just something I'm just noticing as I'm shooting this. Kind of cool. Pulling it out to the 3rd position. This is where you set your time. Feels pretty light, but that's pretty typical for this movement. Clicking it back in starts up the second hand. Everything functions as it should. I've had no issues with this movement. Over the years. I've had these in so many watches I can't even count. But yeah, it's a great movement. I got no real issues with it. That 24-hour hand I do wish was part of the chronograph, part of the chronograph counter, or just something other than 24-hour hand. It's kind of useless to me. But yeah, it's something I knew going in. So. All right, so let's talk about the strap on this thing. So the strap is 20 millimeters. It tapers down to 18 millimeters at the buckle. It is this kind of faux leather. It's definitely not a real leather, perforated, as you can see here, with some yellow padding. It goes with the watch nicely. I think it looks pretty cool. The stitching is nice and clean. You do have some reinforced holes here as well, and it's a good length in my opinion, but it's just not a great strap. You can see here, this tail end is pretty flexible right off the bat, but up here it's pretty stiff and it hasn't broken in for me. So yeah, it's just not the most comfortable strap, and it's not quick release either. It is Pagani design branded and genuine leather branded here. It's not a great strap. I would just swap that out and you guys will be a lot happier. It does have one floating keeper, one stationary keeper, and it does have a signed PVD buckle, so that's nice to see, but the strap in general is just not great. So there you go, guys. That is the Pagani design PD1779 Dark Side of the Moon homage. It's kind of their new lineup with the PD1701 case and crystal and all that stuff. It's very similar to that watch, just with a different dial and a different case finishing on it. And people have bought those watches and been very happy with them. So I have no doubt that for the, probably $75 you're going to buy this thing for, you're going to be very happy with it. So I think that's it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.